Shalom, Kal Halan, Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Bashim Pakwadash, double honors to the apostles, elsewhere millstone. Salutations to the Akmate pushing this word in all sincerity and honesty, the old full elect. This is Korah Allah, and no willingness lessons edifying. Speaking on Finland and Sweden joining NATO. I'm just going to read this article and through the spirit going some scriptures, and it's pretty up to date, so Logan's edifying. It says this is from Council on Foreign Relations. In brief, how NATO will change if Finland and Sweden become members. It says here, Russia's assault on Ukraine has pushed Finland and Sweden to apply for membership in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, putting them on a fast track to join the transatlantic alliance if political hurdles can be overcome. Their accession would dramatically expand NATO's border with Russia and mark a further entrenchment of the geopolitical rivalry. The Finnish and Swedish governments formally applied for the membership on May 18th, kicking off an intensive diplomatic process that could see the two countries join NATO within months. Supporters work to build momentum around NATO annual summit this year on June 28th, 30th in Madrid. It says, where alliance leaders are meeting to discuss the war in Ukraine, China's increasing influence, and new strategic concept. So they had the NATO summit. They had their annual summit meeting. I guess NATO, all members of NATO joined, and they had their meeting. Whatever, man. That's why this kingdom is also known as a mountain. Or the different kingdoms is also known as mountains because they have the summit meeting, and a summit is at the very top of a mountain. It says China increasing influence and the new strategic concept. Finnish and Swedish NATO memberships is a no-brainer on all counts. It is a win-win proposition for the Baltic Sea region. The Alliance and European Secretary writes Alexander Stubb, former Prime Minister to Finland. Applicants do not get more NATO compatible than this. The two Nordic states, like all applicants, must meet political, economic, and military requirements and demonstrate that they will uphold all of the policies and principles set out in the 1949 Washington Treaty, the Alliance Charter, which the Washington Treaty is the NATO Atlantic Treaty. It's the Northern Atlantic Treaty. So it says right here is very important. It says two Nordic states, right? Sweden and Finland, like all applicants, must meet political, economic, and military requirements. Right. In other words, they gotta back each other up. In this situation, they're gonna try to back themselves up at facing off against Asia. All right, against Russia and China. All right. It says, and basically BRICS. It says the two Nordic states, like all applicants, must meet political, economic, and military requirements and demonstrate that they will uphold all of the policies and principles set out in the 1949 Washington Treaty, the Alliance Charter. So basically Sweden and Finland basically picked a side. They picked a side and they join NATO. All right, they side with America instead of Russia, and that's fine because now you see that this thing is building up, man. This thing is actually happening because you had BRICS, and BRICS had some new members also. And let's see what we have here. Just over 2 weeks after Russia's state media announced that Iran and Argentina filed their official applications to join BRICS alliance, President Purnima Ananda revealed that Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Egypt began the process of making the same move. So you see these nations are picking sides, all right, and they're basically gearing up for that third world war, man. You know, so a lot of these nations are gonna be destroyed. A lot of these people are gonna be put to death, and basically it's all prophetic. You know, it's all prophetic. This here is Isaiah 13:4. Says the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. And that noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, is going into those nuclear missiles being shot off. Okay? All right, it's going to be shot off. All right, and who's going to be destroyed? These different nations, these different kingdoms, like as of a great people. A tumultuous noise of kingdoms of nations gathered together, right? And the nations are gathered together, and mainly they're going to be gathered together to do war in Iran, okay, or the Middle East. But I have to imagine that um it's going to be a world war, so it's going to be wars all over, you know. But the main place is over there in the Middle East, right? And then it says um the noise of kingdoms of nations gathered together, the Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. So there it is, the Lord of hosts, man, uh, uh, the Lord of armies mustereth the hosts of the battle. And I was going into that word mustereth, and when you go into it, uh, Paquad, and when you go into it, show Strong's info, to visit, by analogy, to oversee, to muster, charge, care of, miss, deposit, appoint, okay, avenge, okay, bestow, charge, commit, count, deliver, to keep, be, empty, enjoin, go, see, hurt, do judgment. Woo. So when it comes down to judgment, um, we know that's dealing with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah. All right. Um, let's see. There's more. Is that basically the point there? Muster the host of the battle, and that battle is going into that third world war. Jumping from there, you're going to Obadiah 1:7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, right? And all the men of thy confederacy, right? Your alliance, and it's talking about America mainly, because America is the one that rules ship, and we all know according to scriptures, America is going to lose this war. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. So it don't really matter who joins NATO, all right? In the end, the outcome is going to be a lot of these men. They're going to switch sides. Okay, they might shoot those same nukes on America. Okay, that brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound on thee. Right? They ate your bread, they took your goods, they took your protection, and in the end they're gonna turn on you because it ain't up to them. It ain't up to us. It says there is none understanding in him. There is none understanding in him. And when this thing happened, when he's deceived, there's not gonna be no one to really. Esau's gonna have really have that. It's gonna be his unbelief, because Esau would never think that his kingdom is going down because he's so proud. But the spirit's gonna have it to where his kingdom goes down. All right, and this man's gonna be in a state of shock. All right, state of unbelief. And it's gonna be a beautiful thing to see the look on these elites' faces when they realize they lost. All right. Let's go to Joel 3:12, and it reads, "Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about." Okay, so heathens, if you were heathen, if you're not part of the nation of Israel, if you're not an Israelite, then you're heathen, man. These other nations are considered to be heathens. Okay, and you see these nations gearing up for war. All right, just read the article. I just read about BRICS, just read about NATO, and it says that the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. The valley of Jehoshaphat in Hebrew will be Yahweh Shabbat, Most High's judgment. And we just read about who mustereth, the Lord mustereth the host. And he went to the word mustereth, and it goes into judgment, revenge. It says, "For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about." And with that, I want to say praise goes to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakodash, that will honestly apostle as great millstone, and salutations to the Akmat Christmas word, and also send you honor.